So let's start by looking at how the actual first program that you typed in works. First of all, we're setting count to be equal to 3. Count is how many numbers we want to put into our list. Then we create a list called num. Now the way we know that num is a list is because when we assign, using equals, when we assign a value to the list, we don't assign a number or a string or anything like that. We put these two square brackets. That means we've now got an empty list. Now we need to start adding some things to the list. And to do that, we're going to use a loop. The loop is a for loop. A for loop works through from one number up to another number. And the way we show which numbers those are is we use this part here called the range. So the range is from 0 up to count. Now we know what count is. Count is 3. So it's going to go from 0 up to 3. 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. And each time it goes round that loop, it will put the values into I. So it'll put 0 into I to start with. The next time it goes round the loop, it'll put 1 into I. Then it'll go round and it'll put 2 into I, and then it'll set I to be 3, and because I's reached 3, which is the top value for the loop, it will stop. So that means it will repeat 3 times. Once for I being 0, once for I being 1, once for I being 2, and then when it reaches 3, it will stop. What does it do each time it goes round the loop? It'll add a new value to the list. So the first time I is 0. It asks you to type in a number and puts that in the variable next num. Then it appends. Append means add to a list. So it'll append that number to the list. So whatever number you type in first will be the first thing that goes into that list. Then it goes back round the loop. I is now going to be 1. It was 0, now it's become 1. So now it'll ask you for another number. Then it will append that to the list. So it'll have what you put in first and now the new value. Then we go back, I will be 2. It'll ask you for another number, our third number now, and it'll put that into the list. It goes back now, I is now 3. Count is 3, so it's reached the maximum value and it stops going round. So it's added when I was 0, added when I was 1, added when I was 2, and now it moves on. Now this is how we show what is at the various places in the list. Num square bracket 0, that's called the index of the list. So the 0th place in the list, remember in computer science we always start counting at 0. This is the first value in the list. Whatever you put in the first number up here, that will be that value there. Then it'll add on the next value in the list, the one at position 1. Then it'll add the next value in the list, the number at position 2. Adds those 3 things together and assigns them to a variable total. Now, we know there are 3 things in the list. That's the count. So if we divide the total by the count, we get the average, and then it prints out what the average is. Now in challenge 2, you are asked to think about if we wanted to put 5 numbers into the average rather than 3 numbers, what would we have to change? Now this is why we've designed the program this way, because it makes the number of changes you have to make very limited. Now up here we said count was 3. That's because we were going to put 3 numbers in. I'm going to change that to count equals 5. Now that means that this loop will repeat 5 times, not 3 times. So we'll ask for 5 numbers to be added to the list. We don't have to change anything else because that's all controlled by the fact that count is equal to 5. Down here, however, when we get to the total, we're going to have to add some more things on here because we're going to put the first thing the second thing and the third thing in, but now we need to put the fourth and the fifth. So we're going to put num square bracket 3 plus num square bracket 4. And that should now mean it'll add up the 5 items in our list, get our total, and now we can work out our average. So let's test that out, either by doing run module, or just by pressing F5. Yeah, we're going to save that. And now it's going to ask me for some numbers. So I'm just going to put some random numbers in. Now notice it's asking me for 5 numbers. And it gives me the average of those 5 numbers. So we now know that we are fully complete.